Okay, here we go with the first discussion notes for Unit 1. This Unit 1 is going to talk about measuring and how to measure and how numbers work and what numbers are important, things like that. So this is going to be like kind of an overview of just basic topics that I think a lot of us should know or have an idea about. And if you don't remember them right off the bat, you probably will, because these ones will be review, and at the very least, they should sound familiar once we go through them, because you should have seen them before in biology and in physical science, and probably in classes before that too. So here's the objectives. All right, and here's all the chapter links to them. So if you want to do some extra reading, like you're not sure of something or you need some extra review at home, all right, there's the chapters in the sections. Don't forget, if you're watching this, obviously you went to this channel. Notice how the S is capitalized, everything else is lowercase. And if you have any questions and I'm not around, email me and I'll get back to them as soon as I can. But give me at least a day at the very most, but I should talk to you or answer your question if I can. And make sure it's a specific question. Don't just give me general stuff. Give me something specific I can really answer and get into. So there's your objectives. Some important words you're going to need to know. Right here, qualitative, quantitative, scientific notation, density, significant figures, independent, dependent variables, physical and chemical properties. All right, these aren't all the words we're going to know, but these are going to be a lot of them that will be helpful to you. So let's talk about these words. Let's get some definitions down. First one, qualitative, is something, if I'm looking for something that's qualitative, I'm looking for quality. And my handwriting is bad, but I think you get the idea. Okay, looking for quality. So when we're talking quality, like, tell me the quality of something. Think about your 5 senses, okay? Touch, feel, hearing, taste, so on and so forth. Okay, so quality. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Okay, so look, feel. So when we're talking like look, like colors, shapes, things like that. Feel, texture. Is it rough? Is it smooth? Is it, is it clear? Is it all those things? Look, touch, feel. Taste, we don't want to talk about taste, especially in a lab setting, but sometimes, yeah. So we're talking taste. All right, look, feel, touch, taste. All right, so remember, taste, that is teacher discretion. Don't taste stuff in the lab just because you feel like it. All right, hear. All right, when you look for something, looking at something, is it making a noise? All right. That kind of stuff. So it could make like if you do a reaction, it could make a popping sound. It could sizzle, things like that. It could give off bubbles, all those things. So you got to use your 5 senses for this stuff. So we're talking qualitative, we're talking quality. Think like if you go to the grocery store, all right, you want to pick out a good watermelon, right? You look at the quality of it, the color, the texture, the feel, how it, some people even tap it to see how it sounds, that kind of stuff. All right. Quantitative, which is directly related to qualitative, is a quantity. Whoops. Okay. These ones are going to involve numbers. Okay. Always involve numbers. So it's going to be a number with a label. So for example, let's say I went in the lab and I needed to measure out 10 grams. Well, 10 grams, that's a quantitative value, right? Number with a unit, grams, G is grams. All right, so think qualitative and quantitative. You probably have to go back and look at these because a lot of people don't remember, but one way to remember the difference between qualitative and quantitative, there's an N in it, quantitative involves numbers. So N, quantitative, numbers are involved. All right, qualitative, it's all about look, touch, feel, all that stuff. Scientific notation. Okay, basically what you're doing in scientific notation is you're shortening the number to express it in a different way. So in a scientific notation number would be like 2.3 times 10 to the negative third. All right, so this is a number. This isn't a multiplication. This isn't a problem. This is a representation of a large or small number. All right, and notice when you're doing the scientific notation, there's always one number in front of the decimal, only one number in front of the decimal, everything else has to be behind, and then you're going to have an exponent next to the 10. It could be a positive, it could be a negative. If it's a positive exponent, that means this number gets bigger. If it's a negative exponent, that means this number gets smaller. All right, so negative exponent, smaller, positive exponent, the number gets bigger. It's always going to be times 10 to something. This is a number. This isn't a problem. This is a representation of a large or small number. So that's what it really is, a representation of a large or small number. Density is basically going to be the formula. Density is equal to mass over volume, basically. Or one way to say is how much stuff you can put in a space. Okay, so the mass would be the stuff, and the volume would be the space. How much stuff you can put in a given space. The more stuff you can fit, the higher the density. Or the smaller the space, the higher the density. Okay, so density is how much stuff, how much mass you can fit in a given space. Significant figures, these are going to be numbers that help you with your precisions of measurement. All right, so precise measurements, and we're going to talk about how to, what numbers are telling you, what numbers are important, what numbers are not important. Okay, that's what significant figures are about. Once you know the rules to significant figures and you get some practice with it, it's pretty simple stuff. Independent, dependent variables. Okay, these are going to be useful for especially for graphing and lab settings. So when we're talking independent variable, this is going to be the one that the experimenter controls. All right, so in other words, you are controlling this, all right, the experimenter, you're controlling this. And a dependent variable, this will change. It depends on what the independent is doing. Oops, cross that up. Depends on the independent. So let's say if your temperature goes up, all right, let's say I heated it up, which I'm controlling, I'm heating it up, temperature goes up. Therefore, the dependent variable, let's say if I'm measuring a balloon, the hotter the balloon, the hotter I make the balloon, the bigger it gets in terms of volume. All right, so the temperature would be the independent, the dependent would be how big it gets, in other words, because it depends on how hot the balloon is. Physical chemical properties, these are going to be things that are going to look at and we can deal with. So physical properties, so you get, again, think of your 5 senses. All right. Touch, feel, look, taste, color, texture, all those things are going to fall in there. We'll get into more specifics on this, but these are going to be like your 5 senses. So what are physical properties? Stuff you can see, all right? And usually, and then there are going to be other things too that are going to involve. So actually some physical properties can tie into chemical properties. Chemical properties, it's all about what they're made out of, all right? So if something is flammable, it's because of the stuff it's made out of. If something is unreactive, it's because of the chemical stuff it's made of. So chemical properties depend upon, the chemical makeup. So it'd be like flammability. Flammability would probably be the best one you guys, a lot of people would know. Flammability, how well it reacts, how quickly it reacts, things like that. All right. Physical properties can be like 5 senses, stuff you can see, observe, and touch. All right. So here's your first video, giving you the an overview of the words we're going to use a lot of. The words are helpful. Here's the objectives for the unit, and here is, don't forget, there's my email if you have questions or concerns, and don't forget about the YouTube channel to check out these videos, which you should be on if you're watching this. All right. So there's the end of the first video. We'll see you again real soon.